Hi, I'm Damian.
And I'm Tim.
We are in the band OK Go, and you are watching Diffuser.
Hey, my name's Chuck with Diffuser, and this is Wikipedia Fact or Fiction with OK Go. All right, sitting next to me, according to Wikipedia, is frontman Damian Kulash and bassist Tim Nordwind of OK Go.
Fact.
True.
So far, we got a fact. Right on. So first things first, you two met at the Interlochen Arts Camp when you were just 11.
True. Although I said in interviews 12 for a lot of years until I did my math and was like, oh wait, we were 11.
So you were purporting the fiction.
I was a
actually-
carrier of the fiction
All right.
virus.
And the band's name comes from your art teacher at that camp?
Yes. Well, it was this assistant to our art teacher. I suppose that makes him a teacher as well, but he was, I think, more accurately described as a stone teenager.
He couldn't have been more than 19.
Yeah, which seemed like an adult to us at the time.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that incredibly strange BO he had was actually marijuana, because we were only 11. But yeah, he would lean over us and give us instructions while we were drawing. He would tell us to start drawing. You'd be drawing and he'd lean over your shoulder and go, okay, go. Which we always thought was funny. So we made fun of him for years and later started a band in his honor.
In his honor, wow. Does he know this?
I doubt it. If he smokes as much as he appeared to be doing then, there's little chance he knows anything at this point.
It would be so awesome if he came back into our life.
I would
even
love
just
it.
for a night, just to.
Problem is, all we know is that he had shaggy hair, was
Yeah.
somewhere in his late teens when we were 11, and is named Kirk.
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 No last name.
Although we're still in touch with the art teacher, we probably could.
We
Find
could
him.
probably find Allison. Well, we could find Allison,
Yeah.
and Allison could find Kirk, maybe.
All right. That sounds good.
Fact.
Fact, right on. Now, before adopting OK Go as the name, you formed a band called Stanley's Joyful Noise.
Semi-fact, because I wasn't in that band.
Yes. But Dan Kanapka, drummer in OK Go, and I started a band with Andy Duncan, who's the first guitarist in OK Go. We started a band called Stanley's Joyful Noise in Chicago.
And I was the president of their record label.
Fact.
Fact.
Fact. Perfect.
I did. I had a record label when I was in high school and for a little bit of college, and put out all of 7 albums, I think.
Wow.
One of which was Stanley's Joyful Noise.
Our incredibly spastic band.
Awesome.
Fact.
Yeah.
Fact. Now, Damian, according to Wikipedia, you were
Fiction.
born in Washington, D.C.,
Fact.
and then moved to Chicago.
Fiction. Because technically I moved to Rhode Island, and then I moved to Chicago.
All right, good. Fiction. Within the first year of the band's existence, you shared the stage with several bands, including the late Elliott Smith.
Fact.
What was that like?
Awesome.
Awesome. Elliott Smith will always be a musical hero to us, for sure. He was a sweet guy.
Another
sweet.
fact that I don't think has ever been reported is that first time I ever met Elliott Smith, I was living in Portland. I was underage and I had made a fake ID to get into his show, and it was before he was wildly popular, and so I went to the show mid-afternoon or something like that to see if my fake ID would work. And I got in and I was sitting there and he walked in and he sat down at a table right next to me and we started talking and he was like, "Hey man, you want to play Miss Pac-Man?" And I'm really good at Miss Pac-Man. So I was like, this is how I'm going to impress. Like now he's gonna know me. Like I'm a best this man in Miss Pac-Man, and then like I'll probably be best friends with him forever, probably. And we went up to play Miss Pac-Man, and he wasted the bleep out of me. He was like the best Miss Pac-Man player I've ever seen.
This is going to show up on Wikipedia now.
Fact.
Fact. Perfect. All right, this one I want to see how factual this is. You signed with Capitol Records in April 2001 because you believed you would receive more attention and support as the first band the label's new president, Andy Slater, signed.
Yeah,
That's fact.
The other real alternative at that point was Interscope, whose operating business model then was like sign a lot of stuff and then just see what sticks. And we thought we'd rather have a label that actually had to bank on its artists individually.
And Andy had just come to Capitol, and we were the first thing he signed, and so that,
And frankly, we thought Macy Gray was pretty awesome. He had just produced a Macy Gray record, and that helped.
Yeah.
After your second album, Oh No, was released, you played a free show in a parking lot at a Michigan State football game.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
fact.
Fact.
Oh my God. Yeah, we got a lot of footballs thrown at us.
Yeah.
A lot of like those little
As
mini ones.
compliments?
Yeah, you know.
It was, I don't think it was actually meant to be like get off stage. It was just like we're at a football game. Boom, see?
Yeah,
You know?
at a lot of like those big like college sporting events, they hand out, some bank or somebody or other will come and give little Nerf balls, and when you've got like a lot of drunk jocks all in one place listening to rock and roll, they just start throwing them. That's what happens.
Yeah.
I thought it was really fun because I like throwing them back. I like kind of whacking them from stage using the guitar as a bat, that kind of stuff.
I didn't like it.
Tim's not into that as
I was
much.
not into it. It was also your birthday that day.
It was my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
All right, fact.
Fact.
Not long after that free show, original guitarist Andy Duncan left the band due to creative differences, major label pressures, and OK Go's rigorous tour schedule.
Fact that he left. He claims that it was because I farted on his head once, which actually did happen.
Well, that's reason enough.
Yeah, no, it was pretty demeaning. Shouldn't have happened. But I'm guessing the reasons you've listed are probably more realistic reasons. I don't think most people don't. You know, one bout of flatulence doesn't usually end a band. But
Unless it's a really good bout.
Yeah, well, and I can be a pro. Andy really was not a fan of touring. I can't speak for Andy. Obviously, we don't know why he left, but he was rarely in a very good mood on tour. Touring basically sucks.
Yeah. You guys do a lot of it.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
fun to play the show.
the show
but,
part is awesome.
Yeah, traveling's not so great.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a lot harder when someone's in a really bad mood. No offense to Andy, but it's at its best when everybody can actually smile a little bit.
Yeah. Everybody smiles now?
Most of the time.
A little bit.
Although
Semi-fact.
Tim's not really allowed to look me in the eyes, so he doesn't know if I smile.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Your music videos have been screened in museums across the world,
Fact.
including New York City's Guggenheim Museum
Fact.
and Los Angeles County's Museum of Art.
Fact.
Fact.
What's that like?
Fiction.
Yeah.
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 No, actually, it sort of feels like fiction.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Our last video was, like, the big premiere was at MoCA in LA, which is, like, the tiniest museum in LA. And to have them, they, like, did a retrospective of all our stuff and everything. And it's, like, obviously, we're pretentious enough to think of the things that we make of as art while we're making them. But you don't actually think that the art community is going to, like, fall for that.
Right. You can trick some rock fans.
Well, I mean, rather I should say this. Like, when you're making anything, like when you're making a birthday card for a friend, it's art, right? Like you're trying to make something creative, you're trying to make something awesome. It's like you don't just. I mean.
Yeah, we're not making a birthday card yet.
Art.
Art.
Fact. But like I mean, anything you make, at least for me, it's like you're pursuing it as you want it to be the best thing you can make, and it's cool. That's art, but what actually like gets deemed art with a capital A in the art world is a very different beast, you know.
Yeah.
So to have it be to get a nod from that world is it's very flattering.
You spent 2 years writing material for Hungry Ghosts without having any idea how the music would sound. It's straight from Wikipedia.
I mean, any idea you have to call fiction because you can't make a song without knowing.
Yeah.
Like you're like, well, now you know what it sounds like because you're hearing it. But it is true that our general approach to music writing is rather than to think sort of like imagine the thing and then head towards it, is just to like play with a bunch of sounds that sort of feel like they might be headed in the right direction, and then wait for the combinations that sort of explode with emotion in some way. Like music at its best to me feels like alchemy. Like you put a beat and a chord progression together, and suddenly instead of just sounds, you have emotions. You know. And that doesn't happen very often. I mean, most of the time you put two sounds together, you still have just sounds. And earlier in our career, I think we did write with a little more goal-oriented, sort of like, I want to make a rock song. I want to make a stadium rock anthem or something like that. And now we wind up with music that I find much harder to describe, and I certainly don't know what it's going to be like at the beginning of the process. So that part of it seems true.
Yeah.
Like when we started out, I think we all knew we were a little bit more interested in electronic instruments, but I don't think we knew what the music would really sound like at all.
Yeah, forces us to write more in the moment. And it's like
Fact.
It's like hunting for magic in the dark.
Fact.
I like that. All right. You guys have been always seemingly involved in social activism, political activism. So I've got a few questions about that from Wikipedia. Fiction.
No, fact, you have those questions. Fact, you do have these questions.
Fact, I have the questions. OK Go wrote and distributed a 10-page document called How Your Band Can Fire Bush.
Fact.
Right,
I mean, technically I wrote it, so I can't blame Tim for that, but yes, fact.
All right.
I was proud of Damian for that.
So Damian wrote, not the band.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember if we distributed it under the band's name or my own, but let's go largely fact.
And the whole band supported it?
Yes.
Fact.
Yes.
Emphatically.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You've auctioned yourselves off on behalf of the Sweet Relief Musicians Fund.
Fact.
What does that entail?
Slavery.
Fact.
I don't actually. The reason I said fact is because that must have happened. If you said it.
If it's from Wikipedia.
We've done stuff with Sweet Relief. I don't ever recall actually selling my own soul or any part of my body, but it is the case that I recently discovered I was the devil, and Tim recently discovered that he had sold his soul to me. But all of this was only revealed through our Instagram feeds.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's all fact. But that's fiction, maybe.
I know that we've worked with Sweet Relief before. I don't know about auctioning ourselves off. We probably auctioned off some stuff that was not technically ourselves. So let's go with fiction.
Fiction. You pass out burritos to homeless people before concerts.
Fact. That has happened. Although if that implies that we do it before every concert, fiction.
Fair enough. Damian, you have written editorial pieces for the New York Times.
Fact.
On net neutrality.
Fact.
And you also testified in front of the House Judiciary Antitrust Task Force.
Fact.
Those are some pretty big facts.
Yeah, that's a long. I mean, that's a long string of words. That's for sure. I'm pretty active in net neutrality issues.
All right.
Our band, our band really benefited from an open internet. Where us putting up something on YouTube everyone had the same access to that as they would have anyone else putting up something on YouTube, and the more powerful the architecture of the internet is, the more big companies seek to control it for their own purposes, and it's pretty difficult for the little guy to win this one, but we will.
We must.
Fact. OK Go included a 35-minute track of Damian's girlfriend sleeping on Oh No.
Fact. She later became my wife, and fiction, I think it was actually 34 minutes and some seconds.
Okay.
It had to be a very specific length.
Because you wanted to prevent the label from using the extra space for digital rights management software.
Fact.
That's a fact.
That's a fact, although it was a fact we couldn't admit to until we were off the label several years later.
Yeah.
There was the cover story for why we did this was that we made the album in Sweden, and my girlfriend, later wife, was 9,000 kilometers away from us, and so the claim was that this was her love letter, her very touching love letter to me was an audio file of her sleeping, so that when they said, look, we just need to take 5 minutes off of this so that there's enough data space left on the CD to put DRM on there, I could be like, absolutely not, it must exist exactly as she sent it to me.
It's personal.
It's personal.
Yeah.
The truth is that it was actually recorded the night before we had to turn in the masters of the album. I was like, you know what we should do? We should do like a minimalist, like Steve Reich piece back there. But you can't like come up with that in like the 2 hours before, like you can't do a good one at least. So then I so frustrated with my attempts to write minimalist music, I went back into my house from my studio, which was in a back house, and just recorded my wife sleeping.
Did she know this?
Well, not until she woke up.
Not until she picked up Oh No.
I told her the next morning. What an interesting fact that I don't think has ever been reported is that I believe that I actually I think it was July 4th when I recorded her, so you can hear fireworks going off in the background.
Cool. Fact.
Which would have been a way in which the record label could have proven that it wasn't actually sent to me when I said it was sent to me, but. The label actually never knew what happened. They sent the master in and were like, add DRM to this and put it out. And then the quality control machines kept on being like error. So they eventually were like, well, I guess the DRM doesn't work. We'll do it without it. And we managed to have our record put out without digital rights management software, which is a funny thing that nobody even thinks about anymore. But in their early aughts, record companies tried to keep file sharing from happening by punishing people who had bought the CDs. they would make it so that you couldn't get the music off the CD onto your iPod. They figured that way you had to listen to the CDs rather than just go steal the music and put it on your iPod. So it had exactly the wrong influence on people and was punishing the people who actually were paying for your music.
Fact.
Fact.
And that's it. Your Wikipedia page is really clean. Sounds like you.
It's pretty good.
You guys are an open book.
Fact.
Major fact.
There was, I haven't read a Wikipedia page in a long time, but I do remember it had the date of my marriage wrong once, and I remember switching it and it always got switched back. People know more about me than I know about me. That's for sure. And in fact, that is the policy of Wikipedia, I believe.
I think so.
Is that you are not allowed to edit your own page. So I broke the law of Wikipedia by doing that.
It's on camera now.
So then Wikipedia broke you.
But then it broke me.
Yeah.
Ouch. All right, Wikipedia
Damian.
Fact or Fiction with OK Go. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.